We New Yorkers used to tolerate him when he was just another grubby real estate hustler masquerading as a big shot. A two-bit playboy lying his way into the tabloids. Damn! Because it shows the violence of Trump and reminds us that he'll use violence against anyone who stands in the way of his megalomania and greed. But it's a coward's violence. You think Trump ever threw a punch himself or took one? This guy who ran and hid in the White House bunker when there were protestors outside? No way.
Stop! He's already dead.
Can you imagine your gotcha response to Robert De Niro was, "You're a nobody"?
You are gangsters.
Excuse me.
You are gangsters. You're washed up.
You're a softy! You're a nobody!
What's next? Telling Oppenheimer he's dumb, LeBron he's unathletic, Trump he's a good dancer, husband, father? And in response to remarks made from the two-time Academy Award winning actor and producer, the Trump camp sent out this guy.
And the best that Biden can do is roll out a washed-up actor. And don't worry, my remarks will be shorter than the Irishman. I won't make you suffer for 3 hours. But the best they can do is roll out a washed-up actor.
Who the f is that guy? Who the f is that?
The Trump circus continued today and featured the low-energy clown himself with one of the worst dramatic readings of something I've ever seen.
They sign them literally on an hourly basis. Because MDAs cannot have, and then it says Trump did not have a FICA legal duty with respect to that. He could not have intentionally flouted the known legal duty.
But outside the courthouse, his four supporters were making themselves heard as they tried to disparage Robert De Niro as a, quote, washed-up Hollywood failure and an out-of-touch elite. This while they were doing the bidding of a billionaire reality TV star who has bankrupted more businesses than he has had affairs. And there's been a few.
The world's greatest stakes. My Trump home mattress collection.
Trump, the game.
It's a vodka that people really like.
We're going to have professors and adjunct professors.
We were the first plane out this morning. We were the most successful flight this morning.
My suits will guarantee you're always boardroom ready. Beautiful coffee table book. The greatest trading card in history. My Trump digital trading cards.
That's the real deal.
It is an authentic piece of the suit I wore when I took that now famous mugshot, and it was a great suit, believe me, a really good suit.
But when it was time for the actor and New York native to speak, as usual he didn't mince his words, despite the heckling from the three people on the other side of the fence who the MAGA keyboard warriors are describing as New York.
That's why it's so weird that Donald Trump is just across the street. Because he doesn't belong in my city. I don't know where he belongs, but he certainly doesn't belong here. We New Yorkers used to tolerate him when he was just another grubby real estate hustler masquerading as a big shot. A two-bit playboy lying his way into the tabloids, pretending to be a spokesperson for himself. He was calling it as himself for himself, to fool the press into inflating his net worth. A clown. But this city is pretty accommodating. We make room for clowns. We have them all over the city. People who do crazy things in the street, we tolerate it. It's part of the city, it's part of the culture. But not a person like Trump who will eventually run the country. That does not work, and we all know that. Somehow he even got self-styled patriots to support a man who called for terminating the Constitution, and on January 6th rallied an angry mob to threaten democracy, leaving death and destruction in its wake. That's why I needed to be involved and wanted to be involved in the new Biden-Harris ad, because it shows the violence of Trump and reminds us that he'll use violence against anyone who stands in the way of his megalomania and greed. But it's a coward's violence. You think Trump ever threw a punch himself or took one? This guy who ran and hid in the White House bunker when there were protestors outside? No way. He doesn't get blood on his hands. No, he doesn't. He directs the mob to do his dirty work for him by making a suggestion, an inference. And his gang grovels and follows his obvious order.
Now, as we know, this is not the first time the legendary actor has voiced his disdain for the former president, and was even tapped by the Biden-Harris campaign to voice an ad calling to attention the threat that Donald Trump poses.
From midnight tweets to drinking bleach to tear-gassing citizens and staging a photo op, we knew Trump was out of control when he was president. Then he lost the 2020 election and snapped, desperately trying to hold on to power. Now he's running again, this time threatening to be a dictator, to terminate the Constitution.
If I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Trump wants revenge, and he'll stop at nothing to get it.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
And the ironic thing was not just the two MAGA supporters claiming one of the most decorated actors of all time was washed up, or calling him an elite while their cult leader heads straight from the courthouse to the penthouse to send some of his tweets while sitting on a golden toilet. It was when they tried to disparage former Capitol Police officers Michael Fanoni and Harry Dunn as traitors.
Excuse me?
And even De Niro couldn't stomach that. I mean, they are the people who stood on the front lines to defend the Capitol as Trump supporters violently did everything they could to upend the Constitution and try to overthrow a free and fair election. Which, of course, for anyone who is willing to spot hypocrisy, would ask the question, what happened to backing the blue?
They are the true heroes. These guys are the true heroes. They stood and put their lives on the line for these lowlives, for Trump.
They lied under oath.
They lied under oath.
Right.
Who lied under oath? What are you telling me?
Those two traitors behind you.
Excuse me?
Those two traitors behind you.
They lied under oath?
That's right.
What are you saying?
They're traitors.
They're traitors. You gotta, I don't know, I don't even know how to deal with you, my friend. I don't even know how to deal with you. They stood there, they didn't have to. And there were other ones in there who probably were in with them a little bit too, and they found a way to get around. Not these guys. They stood there and fought for us, for you. For you.
Well, they weren't fighting for me.
No, they fought for you, buddy. You're able to stand right here now.
Americans need to wake up. This is not a drill. Mr. Niro said he's not trying to scare you. When I just unsuccessfully ran for office, a lot of people that I met out there said they were afraid. They're scared to see what another Trump presidency looks like. I try to pride myself in having some type of way to make people feel comfortable, saying some kind of a word, a hug, a look, or something. It's going to be okay. I couldn't say that to those individuals. I couldn't say it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. We can't count on these institutions to stop Donald Trump. It's going to take us Americans at the ballot box to defeat him once and for all.
Now, you see, I don't subscribe to the idea that having De Niro speaking at a news conference is going to move the needle. I've said this before, even as a fan. But what it does help highlight is the blatant hypocrisy of those subscribing to the every word of a former reality TV star turned wannabe dictator. And also, well, it's fun because you know how much this is going to get under the jumpsuit of Donald Trump being called Bunker Boy by Robert De Niro.
This guy who ran and hid in the White House bunker when there were protesters outside.
As the president said when he challenged Trump to debate, the president has a list of things he'd like to talk to Trump about if Trump does in fact show up in Atlanta on June 27th. He wants to talk about why Donald Trump's the architect of the repeal of Roe v. Wade, why he wants to go even further in his second term, why he thinks the extreme state-level abortion bans are playing out brilliantly across the country. He wants to talk about Trump's embrace of political violence and the core threat he poses to our democracy. Lastly, he wants to talk about Trump's economic plans and how they'd make Trump and his rich friends richer at the expense of working families, just like he has his entire life. So that's what this campaign is going to be focused on and talking about over the course of the next month. We're going to make sure that Trump has to answer for all of the above and for his extremism on the debate stage. That started last week when we launched our new ad, narrated by Mr. De Niro, which underscores Trump's increasingly unhinged and dangerous quest for power. And we're not going to let our foot off the gas. You'll be hearing and seeing a lot from our campaign as we bring the stakes of the election directly to the voters who are going to decide it. It's simple. Trump poses a unique and growing threat to our fundamental rights and our freedoms, our very democracy and our economy. The threat is crystal clear today, it will remain crystal clear tomorrow, and it will be crystal clear on the debate stage in Atlanta on June 27th.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.